Another earth-shattering episode of the Over Sharon Show. We're so excited for today's episode. We're continuing the Tao Te Ching, and it really is a delight. So I'm
The
excited.
best darn show on the
Best darn show.
interwebs.
Did I say that?
No, I
Oh
don't
no.
think you did.
Yeah, I said earth-shattering. That's
Yeah.
okay. Let me try again. Take two and
No, that's
act.
fine. That's fine.
Welcome back, everybody, to the earth-shattering episode of the best darn show on the internet. There we go.
Unless you did and I totally missed it.
I can't even remember. Joe was there. Did we say Joe? What's up, Joe?
Joe.
Welcome. Welcome. All right, we have today's
Welcome, Joe.
quote. Today's quote is from Lao Tzu, who actually allegedly wrote the Tao. Nature,
Allegedly.
yeah, nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. And I was looking, this came up on a tea bag yesterday that I was making some tea for lovely Elizabeth. And but I couldn't find the verse. I did some Googling. It says maybe 37, but I didn't do a lot of Googling. I figured I should be able to find it in like a minute, so I might have done two.
Maybe it's a generalization of a theme. So it's not necessarily a quote, but it's kind of a theme of the Tao. And since Lao Tzu wrote the Tao, allegedly, they attribute it to him. Could it be?
Could be.
Could it be? Well, I didn't decide which deck I was going to pull from. Um, should I pull from I Ching or shall I pull from a regular deck?
What other decks you got?
I got the Aleister Crowley.
Yeah, use that one. We'll break some
Okay,
patterns today,
break
especially because
pattern. Let's break pattern.
we're using
Yes.
the versions we use. So just in case everyone is, and while Sharon is shuffling, so every episode of this breakdown, we break down two verses of the Tao, but four different versions, and we go through and read them. And then after we read them and break them down, so one of the versions is by Aleister Crowley, and we also started to tag our episodes with Myers Briggs tags. Allegedly, I'm an INTP, and allegedly Sharon's an ENTJ, which is the shadow of my
They're
personality,
shadows of each other.
shadows of each other, I should say. So here's an interesting podcast for anyone into Myers Briggs. Even if you're not into the Tao, just watch it. Watch how we interact and look at how amazing it is that shadow
Well,
personality types can get along without fighting.
yeah. And dare we say, we've done a lot of inner work. So, w- when Brandon and I first met, we probably got on each other's nerves. Um, but we've learned to understand that each of us has our personality type and we work and function a certain way. Brandon's very spontaneous. Like he can just whip something up real quick. And I'm more methodical. I need time to like, oh, I need to do that. Okay. I'm systematic more about, what I'm going to do. So like I kind of lay a framework for Brandon and then I can just call Brandon real quick and be like, "Oh, hey, you forgot to send me this." And he'll just whip it up and send it to me. But I had to adapt to that because I was more like I need these things like now, like
She's still waiting on things, guys. She's gonna murder me. It's the hard drive is in the trunk of my car. I gotta bring it upstairs.
so, we learned a lot about each other and our uh personality types, idiosyncrasies, you name it. And now I don't annoy him as much probably.
No, not at all. Now I realize that if I might be getting annoyed or whatever, it's because it's my fault. There's something I probably didn't do or didn't do correctly or wasn't clear enough. That's another reason why I love Sharon. She's always asking for clarification, so she's made me much clearer in all my communications. So,
Patsy.
uh, yeah, but there you go.
But there you go. Okay. Well, we
Well,
have discs. Nine.
ooh,
Ooh. Oh, wow. This is one of the cards I used to pull regularly in other decks, but this is nine of discs, which is entitled Gain in the Thoth Crowley deck.
let's see if I pin you this time if it works. Pin me.
But if you don't talk, it works. If you talk, you know. So if you want us to talk together, then unpin us. So whenever you're ready.
All right, yeah. It's weird though. If you're pinned, you should be the only one being shown, even when I'm talking. If we're both pinned, or if it's in gallery, like in if I put it on one person mode, then it will switch. But if you're just pinned, it should stay on you. So we'll see
Yeah,
though.
I don't know.
It's weird. But anyway, 9 of discs, great card. Um,
Well, I'm
yeah,
gonna
hold it.
before you expand upon that, I'm just gonna quickly go into the chat and just
Yeah,
say
yeah.
thank you, Joe. He said you cut in half. You cut in halfway. I think you didn't go officially live when you thought. So lovely, lovely app that we use, whether it's Google or YouTube or Zoom. It doesn't like as soon as you hit the button, you still have to like wait or you I don't know. I don't even get it. But
Or sometimes
whatever.
it goes back. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll hit the button and it back like it catches us like talking and
Yeah,
whatever.
it catches us talking before. Yeah. And then Quiet Sparky Bear says, "Hey guys, welcome." And then Dissident Jones is in the chat. Welcome.
Oh, what's up?
Cosmic Likens is in the chat. Thanks
What's
for
up, Joe?
joining. And then Joker's Redemption says, "Sharon sharpens me as well. Always good questions. Forces me to articulate things better or look into something further. Thank you very much." I appreciate that.
100%. That's how I kind of feel about it. And that's what's good about these DAO episodes, everybody. I mean, you probably already know by now if you've been watching them, but if you just came across this one first, we admonish you to go back to the first DAO episode in our Tao Te Ching playlist here on YouTube. Check it out. Like Mark Passio, go back to number one. So this is our 22nd DAO episode. So go check it out. I mean, obviously you can hang out here and watch this episode. You'll get a feel for it. But what I was saying was how Sharon really likes to get in. And if she doesn't understand something or we don't quite understand it, we just keep digging it. We look up words. We do as much as we can to figure out what they're trying to say. And but I think the best way to do that is by using four different versions, because then we could really hone in on, four different interpretations, and then maybe we can kind of come up with our own or what makes sense to us. And that's what we're trying to do for you. And if you have any comments or whatever, let us know if something we say, or if you get an insight we didn't get and you're watching this sometime in the future and you're not in our lovely live chat, leave a comment, let us know. We'll definitely talk about it on an episode. And speaking of comments, that's the best way to support us. Leave comments. We love it. We love when people interact with us. Make sure you like all the episodes that you watch, share it around to people. More laws, more problems.com. Click on the oversharing tab. That's the website for all your oversharing needs. And yeah,
Fantastic. So
fantastical.
back to the Nine of Discs / Pentacles. It has like 1, 2, 3. It has like 6 coins, and they all depict a different little face or head of some ruler. Not all of them, but like 3 of them do. No, sorry. Well, maybe 4 of them. The other one is like I can't really tell. And then the other, I guess they're all heads of somebody, but the bottom one looks like it has a moon in it. And that reminds me of a video I was watching yesterday that was put out yesterday by Mind Unveiled. And I was very fascinated by it. I mean, it's information I kind of already had a clue about. Um, but if you guys haven't seen it, I'll link it in the description. Um, I forgot the name of it, but I might tell you here in a second. It's called Jesus Spoke Arabic and Lived in Europe / Latin is Arabic backwards. That was what drew me in because the title, and I'm a huge fan of languages and like understanding and comprehending. What, Brandon?
I've
Are you
just been
muted?
on this kick lately where I've been reading everything backward, no matter what I see, even license plates. License plates, forget
That's
about it. I add up the numbers. But that's so crazy that it's possible that it's just back.
dude, if you look at it, it's once you get about an hour in,
To
you're
the
like,
video. Yeah.
holy smokes. It's about an hour and a half long. I didn't finish it. I'm probably like 20, 25 minutes from the end. But it is it is like putting things together for me that never made sense, which were including languages, where they came from. And so anyway, I'll link it in the description, and you guys can check it out if you'd like. But yeah, so this coin has like like a moon, kind of like the Islamic moon, right? And in that video, they talk about that symbology. So wow, that just took me back there. And plus, they show coins of different, you know, time frames with like different things on the coins, and a lot of yeah. I'll just leave it there because I don't want to like go too far down that rabbit hole. We don't have a lot of time today, and we want to get through these verses. So
Yes, yes. I'm gonna put a link to that video in the chat right now.
oh, okay, perfect.
Good video. Copy. Thank you. Yes, yes, I have meetings later today for some of my weddings coming up. So I mean I have till like 4:35, 45. So all right. So I put the link in there for that video we were talking about. What's up, Tony? Coriolis, the Coriolis storm, the famous windstorm.
The effect.
He just sweeps in here and rips all our bones off our flesh. I love it. Good job, Tony. Reborn. Yeah, so I'm really digging this. We're also doing another yeah. You want to read that from there?
Yeah, but you go ahead.
I was gonna say we're also doing another series on the Law of One. And we have done episodes on Myers-Briggs too. So check those out. They're all in our playlists. The Oversharing playlist here on the Brandon Bonanza. And they have their own playlists too. So check those out. Let us know what you think. And I think we're going to continue to tag our videos with just INTP and ENTJ just to see. Because, I mean, the last one we did, the Law of One, it was Joe's suggestion. Shout out to Joe P. And it looks like we got more viewers than we normally do. And somebody else commented that we've never seen before too. So maybe they came in that way.
Yeah, they might have.
But yeah.
All right. Well, in this book that I have about the tarot, I'm going to read the Nine of Discs. It says gain. Keywords: Venus and Virgo, growth, gain, bonded by love, wisdom, creativity. The more I give, the more I receive. The three discs in the center symbolize the unification of love. Love is pink, wisdom is blue, and creativity is green. The central binding force is love, whose color is visible through the other two. In this painting, Frida Harris portrayed the three-way relationship between herself, Crowley, and his friend Israel Regardie, whatever. The six planet symbols bear their three faces. Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, really?
Crowley's face appears on Saturn and Jupiter. Saturn, the karma planet, influenced his life strongly, causing him to carry out his plans thoroughly step by step. Regardie's nickname for him was, quote, the king. And you will note on the symbol for Jupiter, Crowley's head is topped by a crown. Regardie's head appears on Mars and Mercury, references to his ambition and ability to communicate. These two attributes combined to make him a talented manager. Harris painted her own face on the moon and Venus. In Venus, she expresses her total devotion to art as well as her deep love for Crowley. This love moved her to the very depths of her being. In parentheses, you have moon. Thank you, Brandon. Despite the tension inherent in this triangle, the three realized their common dream, and for all three, the relationship was a great gain. The highest task life sets for us is to realize ourselves. This happens in carrying out the special tasks assigned to each of us. Retreating from your life's task out of fear or a desire to remain, quote, comfortable means denying yourself. Gain comes from giving willingly and lovingly. Giving in this sense means also giving yourself to the universe, giving yourself fully to life. The cosmic law of wealth is hereby fulfilled. The more I give, the more I receive. And I'm reminded of cosmic lichens in the chat because I just read the word cosmic.
Yeah, nice. I just
And
saw him Tuesday.
oh,
So,
nice. Well, I have four things here. It says indications. If your knowledge and creativity are filled with love, you will gain from all situations in life. The more deeply you are engaged, the more comprehensive your insights will be. Question: do you know what is the highest goal in your life? Suggestion: check carefully whether that which you call gain is in full harmony with your ultimate goal. An affirmation: everything that happens today serves my growth. The more I give, the more I receive. I love this. Everything that happens today serves my growth. I was just listening to Ram Dass, because I usually do sometimes when I'm getting ready before the show. And I just, I just love listening to his stuff, and everything's for my growth. Yes, that really resonates with me. He said something today. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was like, it reminded me of Wu Wei. It was, I wrote a note. Let me just make sure I have it here. Yeah, it says, it's in chapter 5, and he's talking about mantras and like doing mantras. And he says, you get to the point where the mantra is doing you, you're not doing the mantra. And I can't remember who he quoted saying that, but it made me think of doing, not doing. So, but yeah, for
yeah,
everything's for your growth. Yes,
yeah. The
that's
one thing on that, and then something on everything's for growth. But one thing on that I love is I've heard that a million times, and it's so true. I have a mantra. I've had it for like at least since 2016 now. And when you do it so often, it just starts to run kind of in the back of your mind, and it just eats up all these unnecessary thoughts that come in. That's really what it's good for if you're having fear or anxiety. That's kind of why they have Dune has the litany against fear. That's a kind of a mantra. I mean, it's a really long one.
yeah.
You want a shorter one, but
Well, you
you,
can just repeat fear is the mind killer. Fear is the mind killer. That
yeah,
would even,
exactly. Because you're basically it's an internal struggle, right? I mean, there's two sides of your brain, at least, and they're kind of at war a little bit, but that's really what the internal struggle is about. It's about overcoming and then becoming the master of that. And that's mantra, any kind of meditation, but a mantra is one way that you can do that as well. And then as far as the taking everything that comes, I mean, I just have to say that even though we don't worship any content creator here, and we look at all different content creators, even ones that hate each other's guts, will still. But looks like Archaics was arrested earlier this week, and he put out a video, and it was just about he was basically saying how this is what spirit gave to him, like this is what
he used
my
it as a
child,
grift.
yeah, and he used it instead of like becoming like a victim or whatever, he kind of overcame with it. And again, like I said, we will check out some of his stuff, we check out everybody's stuff, like even people he was talking shit about or talk shit about him or whatever, we're just like, all right, cool, like so I think it's a cool lesson because think about it. If you're arrested, what are you going to be thinking about? Are you just going to be chill? Like he said, he was talking to the deputies about like the Phoenix phenomenon and stuff. So I think that's pretty
That's
funny.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say, like, sometimes there are people that we don't vibe with or feel like we don't vibe with anymore, and maybe we haven't listened to them in a while, but it doesn't mean that they don't have useful things to say sometimes too. I mean, who am I to say? Um, but yeah, sometimes there's a lot of content, and there's not a lot of time to watch everyone's stuff. So, um, like Brandon said, a lot of the time I spend my time reading books and listening to audiobooks. And sometimes, every once in a while, something will pop up like this video did yesterday for me. I don't even know. I was just looking at my YouTube feed, and I saw that the title, and I'm like, Arabic and Latin. I was already starting to put kind of together something related to like the Latin language. Um, maybe a couple of years ago, kind of related to this, but I didn't have a coherent view of it. And so this really, really piqued my interest. So anyway, I'm just rambling by now.
Just scattily
Oh,
daddling.
whoever E is, thank you, E, said, I got a message this morning that he is uninvited to Music and Sky. I did wonder if that was going to
Oh,
happen.
yikes.
I did wonder because he's been posting like the link, like everybody, check this out and go. And it's like, well, he's going to have to look at that as like a blessing too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, looking at it objectively, and again, I'm not taking anyone's side, but if I was the one who's running Music and Sky or whatever, I mean, not that you want to act out of fear, I guess. So maybe this is bad advice or whatever, but to uninvite him might not be a good idea because all the
I
people he was gonna
exactly.
bring, you know, and
Yeah.
I don't know. The thing about people say he's a grifter, all this stuff, he's lying, right? But the reason I still will check him out from time to time and watch his stuff is because of his attitude. And maybe he's just faking it, whatever, but at least he's not out there
Being a
scaring,
victim.
yeah, he's not big. Yeah, basically he's not being a victim. And I think that's why I resonate with him.
Yeah.
Oh, I am from Unversioners of Oil. Oh, what's up? What's going on? Yeah, that's Sark's group. I was in there too.
Okay.
Yeah, every once in a while I jump in there and just me and Blue will have a fun interaction or whatever. Blue actually,
Unvirginized oil. I'm just kidding.
yeah, yeah,
Welcome E from Unvirginers of Oil.
the sacred
And
oil.
welcome Cody.
Hey, what's up, Cody? Yeah, so Blue yesterday was like, is over Sharon today? I'm like, it's tomorrow, Blue. It's Thursday.
Oh,
Whatever it
he's
is.
always ready. Bless his heart.
Yeah,
He's our little faithful fan, Mr. Blue
yeah,
Kachina.
yeah. That's
So,
correct. Oh, and then we could go on get on to the Dow, but I was just gonna say that the way that I feel, I mean, even if you see that someone's kind of a grifter, like I just leave it to other people. There's this situation in my life right now, um, with a friend, and I could tell this friend and all the evil stuff that I know about this content creator that he's following or whatever, all the things that I've heard or even seen with my own eyes in the past 4 years now that
but
I've
you
been.
can't tell people stuff. A lot of people have to do it for themselves.
And it's because
Go
that's
ahead.
what happened to me, right? I was the same way. I would follow different content creators, and sometimes I'd like worship them. Like when I first started watching Mark Passio or even Michael Tessarion, I wanted to make sure everything they said lined up with my worldview too. And if it didn't, I'd be like
Mhm.
disgusted and all this stuff. And now, a couple of years of over Sharon, and we're just like, oh, all right, everybody is speaking their truth, just like we talk about the law of one. Maybe some people are lying or whatever, but if you resonate with somebody because it feels truthful and they're speaking some kind of truth, it doesn't mean exactly what they say is true. It just means that they're speaking their truth from how they see it from their worldview, and that's how they resonate. So you could take that information and digest it into your worldview and see how it fits. And we talk about this all the time. It's the trivia method, right? You take in the data, you process it. What doesn't fit, you kick it out, and what works, then you have your output, right? Then you could go on the Oversharing show like Sharon and I do, and we show our output. And because I think when you're going after content creators, it's more about pointing the finger, and you're trying to save other people. You're trying to warn other people. He's gonna lead all these people astray and all this stuff. But the thing is, though, maybe that's what God wants for them. Maybe God needs them to go astray and worship somebody and get a tattoo or something. I don't know, like a and that's their path. And the thing
Yeah.
is, all that stuff when you're pointing the finger, all it's doing is distracting you from your own work, your own path, right? And that's why I love some of the people in this chat, like Quiet Sparky Bear, for example. Like that dude doesn't matter who you like. If he likes you, he's friends with you. If there's like a thing, he doesn't care. And I've noticed that about him. He's a good dude. Joe, same way. Everybody pretty much in here, you know.
Yeah.
If Ethan unvirginers of oil, I'm sure he's that way too, or he or she. I think it's
He or she. I don't know.
what up, E. But yeah,
Yeah. E, tell us so we can at least know.
and these
Are
things
you
I'm
a dude
saying,
or a
it's
chick?
yeah, Should I do you sit down? No,
What are your pronouns?
I don't know. Hey, E, do you sit down when you pee? What could we even ask? Oh, I'm a girl. Oh, well, okay. So do you sit down? Anyway,
Yeah, I
so
had a feeling.
I think that
Shemily.
there you go. Shem.
Hmm, maybe it's Emily.
Yeah, no, I just like the Shem. That's great. Shemly. Yeah, so even though I'm saying all this and it looks like I'm lecturing, I still blame other people for things sometimes, guys. I'm not perfect. I will still do this too, but this is what I found. I feel the best when I'm in this mode, when I'm just worried about myself, when I'm like, wait a minute, if I'm in an argument right now, how could I be wrong? Am I wrong here? Like
Am I
maybe,
being a victim?
yeah. And
Am I
it's really,
pointing the finger and blaming other people right now?
yeah, that's what I mean. And you could just look at content creators. Like I've met so many people through different content creators. Like I met Cosmic Lichens through Mark Passio,
Yeah.
and he loves Zinc. I met Sharon through Owen Benjamin. We met E through Sarcastic Warlock or probably James True. Like there's just people that we meet and we get our little snowball going and we're going down the hill. We're only worried about ourselves. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. So,
sorry to pseudo dox E. It's Shem. We get it. I'm
oh,
just,
got it. Yeah. 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 Hem, Shem, and Japheth.
yeah.
I probably
There's
pronounced those wrong.
Beastie Boys songs too. That's like Shadrach. Oh, it's not Shem though. It's like
Meshach,
Shadrach, Meshach,
Shadrach,
and
Meshach, and Abednego.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And Shem. She's laughing. All right, we're good. So
But
today,
yeah.
May 9th, 2024, according to what we're told, that's the day today. We're going to be talking about the Tao. So this is episode 110 of the Oversharon Show. It's number 22 on our Tao series, and we're going to be covering verses 43 and 44. So there's a lot of cool numbers going on, everybody. So there might be some magic. You're welcome for hanging out.
Yeah.
And we got 12 people in here. Look at that's another magical number. Cool.
Indeed.
All right, so I'll bring up the Tao and we're gonna read. So what we do, like I said, if you're new, we're gonna read through the Tao, verses 43, verse 43, four different versions, and then we're gonna break it down. So this one is nice and short. Every verse is contained right here on the one page. This is cool. So from Stephen Mitchell, 1988, the gentlest thing in the world overcomes the hardest thing in the world. That which has no substance enters where there is no space. This shows the value of non-action. Teaching without words, performing without action, that is the master's way.
Mm. Dwight Goddard, The Function of the Universal. The most tender things of creation race over the hardest. A non material existence enters into the most impenetrable. I, therefore, recognize an advantage in the doctrine of not doing, Wu Wei, and not speaking. But there are a few in the world who obtain the advantage of non assertion, Wu Wei, and silence.
Interesting. I want to say so much, but we're going to wait, everyone. We're going to keep our commentary for the end of this episode anyway, or this verse. Stan Rosenthal from 1984, at one with the Tao. Only the soft overcomes the hard by yielding, bringing it to peace. Even where there is no space, that which has no substance enters in. Through these things is shown the value of the natural way. The wise man understands full well that wordless teaching can take place, and that actions should occur without the wish for self-advancement.
Mm. And Aleister Crowley entitles us The Cosmic Method. The softest substance hunteth down the hardest, the unsubstantial penetrateth where there is no opening. Here is the virtue of inertia. Few are they who attain, whose speech is silence, whose work is inertia.
Capital W. Oh, all right. All right, Alistair. So I'm getting vibes like turtle and the hare vibes from this,
Mhm.
like that's kind of what it reminds me of. And I'm really excited. And they were talking earlier in that same chat we were doing on Virginers. They were talking about Wei Wu Wei in there. So it's what a synchronicity. And then I posted the link to this and I'm like, speaking of Wei Wu Wei, and that's before I even really looked at the verse. I just knew
Yeah.
it was gonna be in there.
Yeah. And then I listened to Ram Dass and he said something that made me think of Wei Wu Wei.
Yeah.
So
It's really cool. All right, let's bring this up.
it's in the ethers.
Yeah, it really is. All right, so we're gonna read now, break it down. So the gentlest thing in the world overcomes the hardest thing in the world. That which has no substance enters where there is no space. Again, like I said, I'm getting these tortoise versus the hare vibes where
Mhm.
it's the opposite. And this also really reminds me of something I heard when I was doing comedy. A friend of mine who's still a comedian and stuff, he said sometimes you're in a room and it's really loud, or you'll go up next and the crowd is like talking or obnoxious. And he said a lot of comedians will get on the mic and try to be loud and overpower, be like, "Hey, everybody!" And that's what I would do because I have this crazy voice. He's like, "But what you do is like you sit down and you talk really soft, and that brings everybody in, and it literally changes the energy of the whole place if they're interested in what you're saying. So
Energy.
energy, it's up high, and he used the opposite to bring it back. It's like an inversion, like we were talking about with Latin and Arabic.
Mm,
So uh, that's what I'm getting from this verse.
yeah. I'm getting it says the gentlest thing in the world overcomes the hardest thing in the world. That makes me think of love. Like Jesus said, the soft answer takes away wrath. The gentle response takes away wrath. So if somebody's over yelling and getting all upset, you can just say, you know, sorry, but I'm not going to participate. Thank you. Bye bye.
And that also is like, when someone's disagreeing with you or you're having words, sometimes I know I'm like, I'm going to try to piss this person off. What can I do? And when you act calm and you're just chill, that pisses them off the worst. That really
Mhm.
kind of sets them off. But you do have a better chance of chilling them out also by being chill. But, it's like kill them with kindness, right? It's that whole thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
And if you get to this way woo way thing, it really, and you don't take things personally, like we've been talking about, it really, you could watch them instead of reacting. You could take a step back and watch them and just watch their whole behavior. Look at their face. You could just see everything they're doing. You could see it looks almost like they're possessed by like, some other, could it be a non-physical entity that enters where there's no space? I don't know, but because
Mm.
that's what it's in the Tao.
Yeah, it
Um,
reminds me of if I didn't say love conquers all things.
mhm. Yeah, exactly. This shows the value of non-action. Oh, here, I'll use my little highlights. So this is where I'm at right now. Teaching without words, performing without action, that is the master's way. And I think all four of these verses kind of hit on that, non-action, not talking, kind of learning without that stuff. So I'll leave that. We'll leave that for the next couple. We can break that part down, I guess, a little better once we hear some more. It's pretty
Hmm.
self-explanatory, but
Yeah. Makes me think a little bit of Ram Dass when he talks about one of the guys. I don't even remember the guy's name, but someone he was learning from, some guru he was learning from, and he would just give him one phrase or one sentence and leave him with it. And like he didn't explain it, nothing. He just left him with that.
Suzaki Roshi with the Zen koans. Is that maybe what it was? Koan.
Mm-mm.
It's like
I
a
remember it was an Indian guru, and I think he was uh it wasn't Maharaji because I remember he's like this guy would tell me he would give me like one thing and then he just would make me think about it. Like he wouldn't give me any commentary, just one thing. And it was like almost like a paradoxical type of comment, you
like
know?
How you know your nature through sound of cricket?
Something, yeah, something
He's,
crazy. And he'd just be like, what? Yeah.
and that's really what a Zen koan or anything like that, and depending on the different frames of reference, but it's just a statement that is supposed to be a paradox, and you think about it and you think about it and you think about it, and then it just works on you. And it's kind of like a mantra too, but you're usually mantras are said in language that you don't understand. So this way you can focus better on the mantra, I guess. That's how it is in transcendental meditation anyway. From what I understand, I'm not an expert, but yeah, the Quiet Sparky Bear says if approached with hostility, you respond with the same or more energy you lose, even if objectively correct in an argument. Yeah, you're right. You'll lose that energy, right? You give them that energy. It's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. It steals your energy, basically. It's an energy vampire.
Oh, what's up, Sherry?
I don't give away my energy like that. Thank you very much. Well, at
Yeah,
least I try not to.
I'm just gonna take some quick hellos. We're gonna
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
also so you guys
Please.
know moving forward, we're gonna not pay attention to the chat as much. We're gonna stop. We're gonna check the chat. Gotta check my chat. We're gonna check in the chat once in a while and see what's going on. So we're gonna leave it up to the moderators, which like everybody in here is a moderator, so I think we're okay. If it's like somebody walks into a room trying to rob somebody and it's like a room full of cops with guns, you're like, oh shit. Pardon me. Okay, let's get back to the Tao. You want to read the next?
Yes. Dwight Goddard entitles it The Function of the Universal. The most tender things of creation race over the hardest. Maybe that's why you thought it was very like Hare and the Tortoise, maybe,
Yeah,
huh?
the race, right?
A
Mm.
non material existence enters into the most impenetrable. Ooh. I therefore recognize an advantage in the doctrine of not doing, Wu Wei, and not speaking. But there are few in the world who obtain the advantage of non assertion, Wu Wei, and silence. So, okay, that first part, the most tender things of creation, race over the hardest. What are your thoughts on the way he worded this?
It seems to me why he's saying race over, it's kind of like the tortoise and the hare, right? Like it just flies by it, or it maybe they're talking about ascension too, like some kind of ascension of your consciousness.
Yes, that's where I was. That's where I was going,
Ooh.
kind of. Because in the next line, it says a non material existence, which you could say, like, I don't know, your etheric body or the consciousness, it's non material, right? Enters into the most impenetrable. Well, this physical body appears to be impenetrable, and yet this great etheric body of ours, it's like enveloped in it. It enters into it.
And you could say the same thing for silence, because silence is kind of non-physical, and that you could see your speech as being physical because it's making
Mm-hmm.
vibration. So it's kind of like when you're not talking, you might be able to penetrate into somebody's mind, your
Mm-hmm.
ideas, just by living the
Uh-huh.
way that you, instead of talking about it, you live that.
Mm.
It's funny because we still been watching Curb Your Enthusiasm, and we're in the later, maybe not the second to last or whatever, but there's a part where he spills coffee on this guy's robe, and the guy's like in the KKK because there's going to be like a demonstration or whatever, and he's just bumps into him, so he feels bad and he wants to clean it, and he's talking to the guy and they're actually getting along, and he brings it, so Larry David brings the the KKK robe to a cleaner who's Jewish, and the guy's giving him a real hard time. And Larry David's like, yeah, but they're a hate group. They hate us. We're trying to not be like them. He's like, I'm trying to do, show them some
A
love or
good
whatever.
thing.
And it
Yeah,
blew my mind. I'm just like, whoa,
that's
too bad he's not like
funny.
that with people in his life, though, if you watch the show. But yeah, it really is. He's kind of like he's kind of like walking the walk, you know. It
He
really,
like sees only one side of it, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
in that particular instance.
yeah. In that instance, yeah, it's so funny. Of course they. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to stick up for like a KKK guy, but the way they portray these people, they're kind of like idiots or whatever. Where I think it's more of like an occult secret society, you know. I don't know.
Who
But
knows?
anyway, I'm not. It's not like I'm going to be joining the KKK anytime soon. So
Another cult. It's not like I'm going to be joining another cult anytime soon.
yeah, I don't. When I went down there years ago, they didn't have any sheets tall enough for me, so everybody could identify me by my knees. No, those are Brandon's knees. Get them. No, but it does make really good comedy. But yeah, that's I think that's really what it's about is uh yeah, what we were saying. I kind of lost my point there, but thinking about later.
Yeah, it was just like you had been watching Curb Your Enthusiasm, and he's doing this. You were talking about silence earlier and how like,
Yeah, okay, yeah. I couldn't remember how I got to the Curb Your Enthusiasm thing, but it's the same thing. It's just not take like we were talking about with the energy with Quiet Sparky Bear said. It's because when you engage in that, it's just like that you just spiral downward, right? It's that vibration. You're basically allowing the other person to dictate your next movements because you got
mhm,
mad because of what they did or whatever.
yeah,
That throws you off
exactly.
there.
Yeah.
So all right.
So it says, I therefore recognize an advantage in the doctrine of not doing, which is Wu Wei, and not speaking. So he comprehends that these things are useful. Um, not acting. It's probably like you could think about it as like not reacting too. Like if somebody's like all angry at you and you could just either react calmly or not react at all and not speak at all.
Or
That
even take a second to decide what you want to do
right.
instead of reacting. Sorry, I thought you were done.
Exactly that too. No, no, I was done.
Perfect.
Um and then the last line or the last couple lines, but there are
Okay.
few in the world who obtain the advantage of non-assertion, wu wei, and silence.
Yeah. So basically, what he's saying is like everybody says they do, but there are few that actually do it.
Mm,
And something earlier when you're reading, I
yes.
didn't want to say anything, but it reminded me of this whole thing. Like I was saying earlier, it's the Tao is showing it's just these wonderful poems or whatever how you want to like these verses, right? And it's not like a thou shall not or thou shall do this, like you must
Exactly.
or you must not. They're just saying, listen, this is what the spiritual master does. Now it's up to you how if you want to be the spiritual master, if you want to be a little there, if you want to try, if you want to think about it, or if you just want to go engage in the world and tell us to fuck off, like or tell Lao Tzu to whatever, you know, that's fine
Exactly.
too. You know,
Yeah.
that's really what the Tao is all about. It's and it's hard. It's really just the balance. And sometimes you have to go to one extreme and you know
To
do
learn the other.
poker or something. I don't, you know, whatever. So you can like come back into equilibrium.
Yeah.
What's up, Speedy? All right. I lied. I snuck and looked. Okay,
Yeah, that's
so
okay.
I wasn't
I
reading
do
it.
I do too sometimes.
Okay. At one with the Tao. I'll read this one here. Stan Rosenthal, only the soft overcomes the hard by yielding. So here you get a little description of how it happens, right? By yielding. And yielding is something that's huge because it's looked
Mhm.
at like it's something that's bad. If you yield in
Yes.
battle, that means you lost, you know, but there's actually a rune. I was taught this by my friend Zeralath, and it looks like a Y, I think, and it like came upside down, and it has to do, somebody in the chat probably knows, but it has to do with surrender. And really, what surrendering is more like letting go. When you think of David R. Hawkins and his method, shout out to Joe P for showing us that guy. It's this method of because we always were raised where we feel like we always have to do something and take action when something happens, but it's kind of the opposite. It's letting God, I guess, whatever, take control at
Yeah.
some points. It's kind of like the way I see it. It's just like sometimes you have to think about being in a river. You're Frodo and Sam and all the fellowship, and you're in going down the river, and the orcs are trying to shoot arrows at you or whatever. Sometimes you have to flow down the river, and that's what this is about. It's kind of just flowing and letting go. And then sometimes something happens and you have to paddle upstream, or you have to paddle through rapids, or but this is more about just going with the flow.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
All
Yielding,
right, let me
bringing
bring
it to peace. I was going to say that yielding is kind of like raising the flags of
like surrendering kind
like
of, right?
surrender. And that
Yeah.
is like, peace. I'm here for peace. I'm not here to argue, fight with you. You know, I want to be peaceful.
Most times, think about just the surrender during a battle. A lot of times it can occur because the people on the other side are losing, and they also lost faith. Now, that's the thing with like a jihad. We talk about Dune and all this stuff. Why it's so terrible, because under jihad, and I'm not talking about what's going on in the Middle East, everybody. This is in the context of Dune. I think everything over there is like inverted, whatever. But during a jihad, people are literally fighting for an idea that's bigger than them, and so they will sacrifice themselves like a kamikaze pilot, right, in World War II. Think about that thing. But if it's somebody that's fighting a battle and it's not at that level, it's not that level of fervency, they will surrender if they know they're beat. And it's like they lose the morale, they lose the fight, they don't want to die. Whatever they're doing, it's not worth dying for. And think about the esoteric concepts of death, right? So maybe if you've been through a few of these dark nights of the soul or whatever, you had some shifts in your worldview that blew you apart. After a while, you start to, instead of having to go through all those and sticking to your ideas to the bloody end until it's just demolished and it's dust in your hands, you can let them go easier. You just start to let them go, and you don't have to go through such a severe like Dark Night of the Soul or whatever. Same kind of thing.
Yeah, I like that.
Thank you. Bing. For sure, though, yielding. Did you have more to say? It sounded like I might have.
No, I
Oh.
think that's what I was going to say.
And again, bringing it to peace, right? Just like you said,
Mm-hmm.
even
Mm-hmm.
where there is no space, that which has no substance enters in. Through these things is shown the value of the natural way. And that goes back to our quote earlier too, with the natural way. Um, so again, this is kind of like one of those little paradoxical things, because it's like, what do you mean something with no substance? That doesn't make sense. But I feel like it's
Non-material things, like it said in Dwight Goddard's.
non-material things also, but you can also have that kind of worldview if you, it's like that thing where, I realized like wisdom is when you realize you know nothing. Because if you have the default that you know nothing, or you're thinking that, oh, I don't, of course we do all this study, we've done all these episodes of the Sharon show, we've learned all this stuff, so we could be said to have learned things and know things. But to know something means absolutely beyond a shadow of a doubt, right, that you are sure of this. But when you realize that, maybe you have a little bit of opening in your mind that you could be wrong, and it's kind of like the opposite of self-doubt. That's really what a lot of people have, self-doubt, and they don't want to talk about things or stand up for things or whatever it is. But this is more about thinking you have maybe a pretty good idea, but knowing though still you could be wrong, right? Who knows?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I I get it.
and in
I
this
was
way you
having
can slide
I
in
was
where others can. Go ahead.
yeah, I was having a conversation with Cody about that last night about
Oh,
like I don't know anything. Like, yeah, I can read and listen to all these things and like gather all this information, but does it mean I know for sure what everything is? I don't. But I can begin to formulate, ideas, concepts, conjectures. I can pontificate and kind of make sense of some of it for myself, but it's for me. I'm not going to put that on someone else. And because everyone can do this for themselves. They can gather the information and make sense of it how they see it.
exactly. And they can have an inner knowing and understanding, and it's a mystery, right? It's something you can't really always translate
It's
to
hard to
somebody.
explain. Yeah.
That's the interesting thing about being in a relationship too, because I live with this person, my love of my life, and trying to adjust her to her worldview, trying to adjust her to my worldview, or also adjusting to her worldview, or putting things in a way she would be able to understand, open her mind, and the same thing she does for me. And it's really, really interesting, and it really does help a relationship a lot when you know that you when you can remember that you know nothing, especially when you're an INTP, because I always come across like I know everything, and most of the times in situations I do. So because of that experience that I've had, I had when I was younger, I was always told that I was wrong, and I'm like, all right. And then finally I figured it out. Oh, it's just I was right about most of those things, and it's because I look at the world in a different way or whatever. I'm not afraid to like shatter my own beliefs or whatever it is. I'm not afraid to look into things, or even just doing things differently or whatever. I have this different mind that organizes things in a like I'm really good at Tetris and all this stuff, right? And
Hmm.
so once I went through my like experience and kind of woke up and got self knowledge and started to realize that I am right most of the time, then you get that spiritual ego that comes in, right? Now it's like I'm always right, and now that's what I'm dealing with now, basically. And
Yeah.
it's cool though. I feel like I'm
And
in strides, but go ahead, go ahead.
and the thing is though, you are right for you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's when you try to take the I'm right for me and push it on everyone else and say, no, this is right for everyone. Well, that's what we talk about. Like there's no collective solution. That's what we mean by that.
Yeah, and because Elizabeth is allegedly an INFP, I'm an INTP. So we have a lot in common, which when we were talking about earlier about the shadow. So usually when you have a lot in common with somebody, you would think it's a good thing, but this actually can be repellent because like they say, opposites attract. Now we do have the F and T that's different, and that's really where it comes in because she feels a lot of things. So she might feel that something's wrong. Like, I don't feel it. And I'm like, no, no, like logically, that's what makes sense. That's right. And my job is to
I'm
remember
more logical. Yeah.
to balance it, right? And to be like, oh, okay, we got to see what's going on here because she could be right in this situation, even though I think I'm right with the logic and all that. Sometimes it goes beyond that. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Them feelers. I think Cody's a feeler. So he like feels things about certain people. And then, um, that's something I have to take into consideration too.
Yeah, and they say INFPs, like I think it was C.S. Joseph said, he's like, yeah, they have feelings. He's like, but they don't matter to them, like they don't care. And it's so true. I'll usually will tend toward the thing that's right, no matter how it makes me feel, if it like logically or whatever it makes sense. And it's the same thing with people. I like lose contact with people, or I forget to, to me, they're always there. That's what I tell people. I'm like, you're just always there. Like I could talk to somebody here, pick up a phone and not talk to them in 2 years and then just like continue like
I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
and
And
so I have to be conscious. So anyone out there that, I ghost chats all the time, I'm so terrible. I'm like, oh shit. And then I'll see there's like 500 messages in there and I
you're
skip it and
like,
some fun memes. I'm like, hey guys, it's me. How's everyone doing? I want to chat today. And then, yeah,
yeah, you totally ghost everybody. But yeah,
but about me. Let's see. Let's get back into the. I forget where we're going. All that stuff. Okay, so yeah, even where there's no space, we talk about that. Okay, so I'll go down under here. The wise man understands full well that wordless teachings can take place, and we talked about that. Right. One example of that is by teaching by example, just doing it, and that
mhm.
actions should occur without the wish for self advancement. Now that one reminds me of do your work and don't worry about the outcome. And it's not in a way where you just get through your shit and do it. No, it's like you focused, you're in the moment, you're doing what you have to do. For me, say it's DJing, right? I DJ, and maybe that's a bad example. But say you're gonna go, whatever it is your work that you do, you just do
Maybe
it.
you're a plumber.
You're Yeah, you do your best to your best of your ability and your best. Actually, it does work for a DJ too, though, because sometimes I will do my best in I just don't have a big dancing crowd and not everybody dances. And when I was earlier on in my career, if I didn't have every party or whatever I did, if most people weren't dancing or a lot of people weren't dancing, I would get discouraged and upset and think that I screwed up. But now I realize that it's just the way it is. Some people just are
Don't
talkers.
feel like dancing. Yeah.
They don't want to dance or whatever. And then you always get a little group of people, at least that does. So it really is about just doing your best and then not worrying about what happened and the way, oh, I should have done this differently, whatever. It's like, no, you already did your best. So you're good. And now the one thing though, you could look back and see if maybe there was something for the future, maybe I did this different, I could tweak it or whatever. But that's a little different. You're actually trying to improve yourself or your performance or your work or whatever. But sitting there at night, like, oh man, I should have did this, I should have done that, and you
Yeah.
can't sleep.
Yeah.
That's what they're talking about. In
Yeah.
my God.
And that reminds me of like some people like will like regret and like be like,
Yeah.
oh, I should have, or I wish I would have. Like, for example, like someone passing away, right? And they're like, oh, I should have been more this to that person, or I, whatever, right? So I thought about this a lot too, because when Wesley passed away, my late husband years ago, you know, I'm feeling is my inferior function, so I'm not a huge feeler, but I was more logical about the situation. And I thought about it a lot and I'm like, there's really nothing I can really regret because if there were a moment in time where I had said like, oh, let's do this, we should do this because um it's gonna like he had told me, hey, what do you think about this was back in the day before I knew anything about like natural solutions and stuff. And he was like, well, what do you think about like not eating a lot of sugar? Do you think that'll help me not? Because I've been seeing like online that it says, don't eat a lot of sugar when you have cancer because it feeds the cancer or something like that. And, but I was always the type that I'm like, your body, like whatever works for you. So I didn't bug him too much about it. I was just like, oh, maybe. Yeah, sure. Who knows? Um, but like I didn't beat myself up afterward going, I wish we would have gone that route. And why didn't I think of, and you know why? Because I didn't think of it. I like, had I thought about it, maybe I could be like, dang it, I should have, you know, gone for my gut and looked into it, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't even think about it. So how can I be upset at myself for something I didn't even think about? It's like the way it happened, and that was the way it was meant to happen. Why? Because it happened that way. That's how I know. Because it happened.
Yeah. And it just seems to me that Wesley, that was his time, right? He spent
Yeah.
his time here in this realm in that incarnation to do what he had to do. And he seemed to me like from what you said, like he was at peace with it. He wasn't struggling or whatever. And I think that's the best way if you know you're gonna die, is to just accept it. You don't have to watch the Over Sharon show and read the Tao and listen to Ram Dass and Bhagavad Gita and all these things. You don't have to do any of this. If you're cool and you just accept things and some people are automatically just like this. Maybe they had cool parents or whatever.
Yeah. No
That
attachments.
yeah, that's really it's the attachment thing, right? And God bless him. I love it because it made you the person who you are. And I'm sure he still loves you wherever he is. And you love him. And now you have another amazing relationship. It's like you get to experience these different things. And that's your viewpoint. I know that because I'm really good friends with you, obviously. But there's a lot of people, though, that when someone dies, they do have this regret and they hold on to it for a long time
Yes.
or sadness or whatever. And I can't speak on anyone else's experience. But I just know that I don't, I fully embody and know that this isn't just like a physical experience. That's where my worldview is. So I'm not really worried. I don't think it's like some kind of soul trap that we're in or whatever. I feel like it's
Yeah.
all everything I've seen. It's kind of like you got to choose, even if you're subconsciously choosing whatever. It's like a choose your own adventure. And some people just choose by remaining in a lower state of consciousness and remaining
Mm-hmm.
negative or whatever all the time.
Mm-hmm.
they might not choose these things that happen to them specifically. We're like, I want to do this and get cancer or whatever. But and not to say that that was
Yeah,
probably
I get it. I get
yeah,
it.
yeah. But I
Everything just
think
happens for whatever reason it happens. It just,
yeah, exactly. But you're a lot of times you're pulling yourself toward these bad experiences you're having. You know, people have a bad day. All these things happen to them in a row. Their car breaks down. This happens. You know, all of some isn't friends with them. You know, they burn their food. Like all this stuff happens in one day, and it could just be a result of their attitude. From what I'm finding out, you know, it's like a like and dislike. You attract these things to you. So
indeed. The other thing I was going to say when you were talking or reading that line that says, though these things, sorry, through these things is shown the value. No, sorry. The wise man understands full well that wordless teaching can take place. It kind of reminded me of being back in the cult where I grew up. And the funny thing is about certain cults, in this particular one, there are, I've talked about it before, but there are things that are like an advantage, you know, because some things are true. And one of the things that at least my mom used to say, because of the stuff that we hear at the church, was like, don't preach me a message, live me a message, you know? And that's what like the preachers at church used to say. It's like, yeah, you could preach all day long, but do your actions match your life? Sorry, your words? Do your actions match your words? Or are you just speaking out the other end of your mouth?
and this is exactly where some people who could be a born again Christian in what we would call a cult, you know, we were like, they live in a cult, but they could be living perfectly in accordance with natural law. They just like the people at the church. They're not going around trying to like proselytize and like convert anyone or whatever. They're just living a good life and they go there and they have a good time. Who is it for me to fucking tell them not to go to that church? You know,
Exactly.
say I go there and tell them all about like astrotheology and I just blow their mind. I'm like, it's all a lie. Which I don't believe, by the way, because I still I know that I don't know. So it could Jesus could have lived, and it could all be based on the stars. Like maybe it repeats because it's up
Yeah.
there. I you know obviously you know that, but I'm just saying for the
Yeah.
viewer. But you know, who am I to say? What if I talk this person into that, and then they got out of that, and then what if they're an atheist or whatever, and they're just going throughout life like I guess nothing fucking matters, you know? Then they're depressed or whatever. It's like so that's why
Yeah.
you really don't never know what your actions are going to do. You just live through your example. So instead of like in that same scenario, if I came across this person who's a born again, whatever, and if I'm just having a conversation with them and we're say I'm out hiking and I ran into someone who's like, oh, what a great day, and we're talking and all this stuff. Now he's going to have a great experience. I'm going to have a great experience. We're going to go throughout our days. It's going to be good, and he's going to see, oh wow, that guy, you know, look at
He's a
his
cool
hair and
guy.
how amazing he is and his voice. No, he must be doing something right. No, but he'll just think of the way that I treated him, or say he saw me do something nice or whatever, and that might inspire him to live his best life. And that doesn't mean he's got to go listen to Ram Dass and like watch Lord of the Rings. You become obsessed with Dune. Like
And buy
that's
a lot of crystals. I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
no, that's my path. And get two black cats, and then you know fall in love with somebody with two awesome cats, and now we have four. You know, that's not his path. Yeah, so that's all we're trying to say
Yes, indeed. So
in a nutshell. In a
yeah.
10-minute nutshell, no. Let's check in with the chat really quick, and then we can go to the next. Exactly, Brandon. Live by example. Thank you, Trish. You're yeah. So what's going on, everybody? E's still hanging out. Thank you. I hope you like our stuff and stick around. We have all kinds of good content here. All right. Looks like they're just hanging out, having a good time. The
Indeed.
feelers, yeah, haha. Yeah, the feelers. Feel it. Mm. That's another thing I was talking about too. My empathy. I just have access to this empathy. I used to live my life that way. I would just be like, say for example, I was dating somebody and they like blew me off or whatever. I would just be like, turn up the empathy dial. I'd just be like, all right, what are we doing today? Like, and I'm sure that's not healthy or whatever, but I feel like there is a good way to use that empathy, and it is when Maybe someone's yelling at you in your face. That's a good time for me to turn on my empathy or whatever. I think every type, whether you're a feeler or a thinker, whatever it is, you have um, shortcomings or whatever, or things that are hard that trip you up, and then you have like superpowers or whatever. But I've found that you could take these things that trip you up and you could turn them into superpowers too through self-knowledge. So yeah. All right, let's do. I've been obsessed with cat video. I mean, I am, but that cat that's singing. Oh man, I probably sent you some things. It's so funny. Oh, and that self advancement. That's funny because we I went off on a little tangent, but the whole without wish for self advancement. That's the part I missed. I think, which is like you start a YouTube channel, right? And we're not saying we did this for the best, holiest reasons, and we're awesome, but we have it so we can share our ideas with people and just kind of chat and have a good time. We didn't do it to become rich or famous or make a living out of it. If any of those things happen, I mean, that'd be great. Not that I really want to be famous, but if it happens, what am I going to do? Right. But that's the reason. And you could see other channels though, and I'm not naming any specifically, none that I probably even watch, but some of them are clearly doing it just for the money or for the attention or for the fame or whatever. And so they're if they screw up and they don't get a lot of listeners on a video or whatever, they're going to be like super depressed or just focused on it and like freaked out. It's going to throw them off. Whereas we throw out videos and we just kind of laugh at sometimes some of our videos get like our Bigfoot video has 222 views. And then some of our other videos might only have 60 views or whatever, but it's not like we're like, oh no, this, we're doing our
Yeah.
work.
We're not like monitoring it like, oh my God, what can I do to make these views higher?
Yeah, exactly. And to anyone that does that, if that's your job and your lifestyle, that's great. More power to you. But we're just using this as an example, right? Say just spiritual channels in general, right? We'll just take spiritual channels. Some are trying to profit off of other people's misery, and they might not even realize it. They'll use doom and gloom tactics and all this stuff and keep you scared. And they get pissed off when they only get
Yeah.
like a amount of views. And we're just like,
And
oh, cool, all right. The way I
yeah.
look at it, it's like, well, that's what they don't want to watch it. Fine, they don't get that amazing content now.
So
But
speaking of which, I think you meant apathy. Joe said you mean apathy instead of
oh,
empathy.
I said empathy. Yeah, I
I
meant apathy. Everybody, I have access to empathy too, but apathy. Yeah, I could just turn up the dial. I was talking about this with Joe. It's like, all right, this is fine. So
yeah.
that's also known as being stubborn, I think.
Yeah. I was also gonna say clickbaity. We don't really do clickbaity stuff.
Yeah, we
We
do
just
fun clickbait stuff like Bigfoot.
and then we talk about it.
Yeah,
We
but
don't
you're right. We
just
actually talk about
we
it. Yeah,
don't fake it like we're gonna talk about it and then not talk about it.
like here's the secret to spirituality, or here's the secret to stop
Yeah.
suffering. I mean, we could do a video.
And
Here's
then
the
they don't
secret to
give you the
stop
fucking
suffering.
secret.
I'll give you guys a secret to not suffering. Here it is. You ready? Shh. Don't fucking suffer. That's what it is. Don't choose to suffer. That's your fucking. No, watch the tree's gonna fall in my house or something. Now that I said that, no. Um. Anyway, I'm a comedian, guys. You get it. It's a comedy show. It's entertainment. That's why we tag it as entertainment. We're just entertaining people. We
Did you
entertain
tag
people
it
by
as
telling them
entertainment
not
for
to
real?
get experimental medical serums. That's how we entertain. What's that? I'm sorry. Go ahead. But
I said, did you really tag it as entertainment? I don't even know how you tag this channel.
yeah, I tag this as entertainment. Yeah, and
That's
whenever I do a
hilarious.
Brandon Bonanza, it's all comedy.
That's
Because
funny.
when it falls under that, it's like we're not really again like we say at the end of like we say
I
at the end of
love it. I'm glad. I'd rather
yeah.
be.
Oh yeah. We're not telling you how to live, right?
Yeah.
We're just entertaining you. And if you pick up some shit, good for you. All right.
Mm.
All right. Here we go. Aleister Crowley. There, you can read that. Oops. There you go.
All right. He calls this the cosmic method. I'm just looking at the other ones. The function of the universal at one with Tao.
Mm.
They all have different kind of orienting titles. All right. The softest substance hunteth down the hardest. That sounds like Dwight Goddard's. It's funny. I guess the Stan Rosenthal's too.
I like the
Anyway,
hunt too, though, because it gives you this idea of the soft one is actually the predator and the hard one is the prey. So if you're acting hard and you're being stubborn, like I was saying, like I do, you're actually going to be the prey. And the softest one is he's the predator or she. They're the one that are gonna hunt you down or overcome you or change your mind. When you're rigid like that, right? Same thing. Rigidity. You're not able to flex. You're gonna break in a storm. You know, trees, they move in the storm. Buildings are even meant to sway, right? If you have a rigid structure, it's possible it could just collapse.
yeah, indeed. Hunting down.
What's going on?
It's like love will hunt you down. Um, yeah, because like if you even think about the law of one that we talk about, um, you can't polarize negative forever. You will eventually have to recognize and acknowledge the service to others, the love and service to others. You just eventually do. Like, even if it takes you lifetimes, even if it takes you eons, ages, time.
Emmett, that's time backwards. Fuck Emmett. You know that guy. I can't stand him.
There you go. There you go. Backwards, backwards. Hmm.
Backwards.
I'm gonna
That's
start
Latin
look.
time.
I might start looking into Latin backwards. Let's see.
Yeah, I like that.
Maybe maybe go back to my days of learning Arabic
Yeah.
and kind of and maybe starting to learn some Irish Gaelic. That might be fun.
Which Dune, the language that they speak is Gaelic, common Gaelic, common. That's what they call it. You know, they have different languages,
Really?
but the common one is it's like they refer to it as some kind of Gaelic. Yeah.
Really? What's Chakobsa?
Chicopsa is the battle language that the Atreides use, but then it's
But
like an ancient
that's
language.
not the language they regularly speak.
No, the Fremen do though. That's what the Fremen
Yeah.
speak. That's why, but
Yeah.
all the other characters, yeah, they're speaking Gaelic or some kind of I forget what they called, maybe something in
Oh,
chat. But
interesting.
yeah, yeah. I'm telling you, these everywhere, right? They're like ping ping, like little, yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Hmm.
Intéressant.
Things that make you go, hmm. All right,
Yes, indeed.
here you go.
All right. The unsubstantial penetrateth where there is no opening. Well, when it is quote unsubstantial, um, it's kind of like when Jesus could walk through walls, you know?
No substance.
Yeah, he just could walk through a wall or whatever if he existed. But yeah.
You have no substance. Breaking it down. Keep
Let's
going.
see. Here is the virtue of inertia. Virtue of inertia. Few are they who attain, whose speech is silence, whose work is inertia. Wow, he's really being esoteric here. So we can kind of get clues from some of the other verses where they talk about few obtain. And Dwight Goddard says few obtain advantage of wu wei and silence. And I
Yeah,
guess, well, inertia is like basically it's doing it, it's not doing.
going with the flow, right? You already have the inertia built up. So you're going with it. You're not kicking or
Yeah.
paddling. You're
Flow
just,
state.
yeah, flow state. There you go.
Yeah. Basically that's what, Wu Wei is about. Flow state.
The Wu Wei. That's why I
So
like Wu Tang.
few attain it. Huh?
Wei Wu Tang. Wei Wu Wei Tang. Sorry.
Yeah. So
Oops.
that's the virtue.
That's it. Yeah, and again, this we get the speech is silent, right? You're not talking about it. You're living the life. You're going on inertia. You're in the flow state.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Work, capital work is inertia.
Oh
So,
yeah.
like basically doing, not doing.
Yeah. Your dharma, right?
Mm.
The work.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Verse 44.
44.
It's like two crosses. Fours. All right.
Mm.
Oh, these are short ones too. That's right. Nice. Okay. Stephen Mitchell from 1988, verse 44. Fame or integrity, which is more important? Money or happiness, which is more valuable? Success or failure, right?
I think it means or failure. Yeah. Oops, I didn't catch that.
Don't worry. Success or failure, which is more destructive? If you look to others for fulfillment, you'll never truly be fulfilled. If your happiness depends on money, you will never be happy with yourself. Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you.
All right. Dwight Goddard entitles this Precepts. Which is nearer, a name or a person? Which is more, personality or treasure? Is it more painful to gain or to suffer loss? Extreme indulgence certainly greatly wastes. Much hoarding certainly invites severe loss. A contented person is not despised. One who knows when to stop is not endangered. Or, yes, okay. He will be able to, therefore, continue. Sorry, he will be able, therefore, to continue. But basically, same thing.
Yeah, it's so wordy. The wording is a little old from the 20s. Sufficiency. Stern Rosenthal from 1984 entitles his verse 44 Sufficiency. A contented man knows himself to be more precious even than fame, and so obscure remains. He who is more attached to wealth than to himself suffers more heavily from loss. He who knows when to stop might lose, but in safety stays. It's like a tortoise in the hare thing right there.
All
Oh,
right.
nope.
Aleister Crowley entitles this Monitorial. What shall it profit a man if he gain fame or wealth and lose his life? That's a Bible scripture if
That
I've
is
heard one.
about. How dare you, Mr. Crowley? Crowley.
Crowley. All right. If a man cling to fame or wealth, he risketh what is worth more. Be content, not fearing disgrace. Act not and risk not criticism. Thus live thou long without alarm. And he had to be a little bit alliterative, didn't he?
Yeah. Like it. All right. I mean, I guess we could just get into the breakdown because they're pretty much echoing there. I like that. So I'll just read here. Fame or integrity, which is more important? Money or happiness, which is more valuable? Success or failure, which is more destructive? Now, so you could see the fame or integrity one that might, some people who are pretty materialistic might be like, I want to be famous, not, I don't want to worry about my integrity. And you could see where that leads, right? There's so many like cautionary tales of people who wanted to get famous and then sold their soul to the devil, literally, right? So that one's pretty easy to understand, I think. Let me just pull this
Yeah.
back up. So then you have money or happiness, same thing, right? Everybody's like, money can't buy happiness. So I think they kind of understand that one, that, happiness, I think overall is more valuable to your well-being. Success or failure, which is more destructive. Now, this one might be a little more like, wait, what? Don't you want to
Mm,
succeed?
mm-hmm.
Don't you want to succeed, Sharon? Like, we want to succeed at what we do. We don't want to fail, do we? If we fail, isn't that like the worst thing ever to fail? Well, not really,
And
because
isn't like only 15 people in your chat? Isn't that failure?
Yeah.
Isn't only 60 views on a video failure?
Yeah, exactly, right. But they don't see the quality of the people in our chat. They're not looking at like the legendary,
It's yeah, I think Gordy said it last week or the week before. It was quality versus quantity.
exactly. And the other point to the failure thing or success is sometimes when you get success right off the bat, it's bad for you. I've seen comedians that right away they're like successful and later on they get tripped up because they never really learned what to do if they fail. So it's like a team. Like I was on this basketball team when I was in eighth grade and we were like undefeated. We were like 10-0 or something. And then we had to play somebody and they were like in a different league. I can't remember what it was. It was like some tournament, and they were just whipping our asses, and we were not used to losing, so we didn't know what to do. I don't think we
Yeah.
prepared right, and that happens a lot in big sports like a Super Bowl or a World Series or whatever. One team sometimes is so good that they just get cocky and they won't even like practice or take it seriously or whatever. And then the other team wants it so bad because they're up against these crazy odds that they just practice their butts off and they're so focused that they win. So it's not up to you, I think, to decide if you're going to succeed or failure. The only really failure you do is if you quit. If you try something and you fail and then you quit and never do it again, I mean, if you don't like it, then, but if it's something you are interested in, but you quit because of whatever reason, like comedy, you get up there and then you try and it's just not working after a couple months, so you just quit, right? Instead of sticking with it. That's more harmful, right? That's their true failure. It's okay to fail as many times. You just keep standing back up. They have another saying in Dune. It's like down 8 times, up 9, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like
It makes me think of like if you're a kid and you always leave your training wheels on your bike, you never learn what it's going to be like to have the training wheels off. So you're not going to really learn how to ride your bike. Yeah, you're going to look great because you're never going to fall over. But if you never learn the balance of it and what it feels like to have no training wheels, you don't know what it feels like. Ah, crap. I think one of our fire alarm things is beeping. Jeez.
beep. Well,
Lovely.
we can't hear if that helps, but if you need to
Good.
go,
Yeah, I think
I
this
can
blocks
go.
it.
I can always talk too if you want to. But yeah, no, 100%. So don't be afraid to fail, everybody. That's really what stops people from attaining whatever they want. Just keep doing it. Like, all right, I was going to try to think of something funny, but like, where would we be if Genghis Khan quit, right? Like, all those people wouldn't have died. It would have been great. No, yeah, you just got to keep on keeping on. If you look to others for fulfillment, you will never truly be fulfilled, and that goes along with the looking for your validation from exterior sources.
Mm-hmm.
You have
Mm-hmm.
no idea about those exterior sources, and they could just be uh they could, if you're looking to them for your fulfillment, they could not be fulfilling you or telling you what you want to hear to fulfill you on purpose to keep you in some kind of like bondage or whatever. You could be like a narcissist, or you never know, right? So it's really about looking within inside for that fulfillment. That's why we talk about know thyself.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
No one else is going to fill that void for you.
Yeah, no matter how many like drugs you do or one night stands or money, that's another thing. Money, money, money. And I talk about this all the time. I know people who have a lot of money. They're no happier than I am. I'll just say it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Some are though, but you know what I'm saying? Like it's all about if I think you gotta have it's like someone who gets famous. When sometimes people who get famous older in life, they have better careers. Like look at some comedians. They've been trying their whole life or whatever, but it's because they already know they've been around it and they're more mature. So they don't just go crazy and take their money that they got and go spend it all in like gold or whatever, or like partying, I mean, gold might not be that bad of an idea. Some of those rappers are probably pretty smart if they still have their chains now. You still got them chains? They're probably worth like 5 times what they paid. Oh, okay. So that's the button I'm looking for. Let's go back to the sharing. Share. If your happiness
But
depends
this
on
is,
money, go ahead, go ahead.
so I was just going to say, this just tells you, it's like straight up. You don't even need to interpret anything here. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. If your happiness depends on money, you'll never be happy with yourself. Be content with what you have. That goes to being grateful, right? We talk about that
Yeah.
all the time. Stay in that, just don't worry about what you're lacking. Just be grateful for what you have. And if you're in that grateful vibration, more stuff will come to keep you there. Rejoice in the way things are. That's about loving the world too, right?
Yeah.
Rejoice in the
Oh,
way things
yeah.
are. And that other verse, I think it says, have faith in the way things are, right? From one of those verses, the other one. When you
Yeah.
realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. Now, we've talked about this lack in earlier episodes too. We talked about manufactured scarcity, right? And it's everywhere. And we manufactured ourselves. We do it. It's not them. They might do it with oil and gold and all that stuff. But when it comes to other stuff, guess who's doing it? Look in the mirror. You're doing it. You're the one who thinks there's lack. You're the one who's worried about it. You're the one who has fear, just like we all do. Me and Sharon, I'm sure we have some fear of lack in some points of our life too, But that's the number one, because if you can overcome the fear of lack in your own life, then it doesn't matter what the government or the newspaper or CNN is saying.
Yeah. Dang it. I saw something on Instagram or something about lack, and it just was, I don't remember if I saved it or not, but yeah, this is really resonating. It's really good.
Even Bashar in that one quote, Paul Anka, right? That's his name, or Daryl Anka. Paul Anka's the music guy. Daryl Anka, aka Bashar, he says, "There's the funny thing is, if you go back to the other episodes, people I make fun of it being Paul Anka.
Yeah.
He says there is no lack. Lack is it's a phantom. It's a fantasy that we make up. There is no lack. He's like, you might have an abundance of lack though, and that again, like he said, it's up to the way you're thinking and the way you're feeling and your vibration. But I can't tell you how many times something has just come through for me when I needed it, as far as like either a money situation or something like that, when I didn't have the fear and I wasn't worried. Great example. There's this concert going on tomorrow, a Monomarth. It's a Swedish heavy metal band, a Swedish, I think, or some Nordic, whatever, heavy metal. And Elizabeth really wanted to go. We've been talking about it for a while. And it's at this venue here in Connecticut where I thought I had connections, but I guess we don't have connections here anymore like I thought. So I have, so we were thinking about it because there's still a bunch of tickets and she keeps asking and stuff. And I have this service, it's called Vet Tix. If anybody's a veteran, go to Vet Tix, VETTIX, I think it is .org or whatever, look it up, because you can get free tickets. You just have to pay like a service fee or whatever. And so uh I was looking on there too, and there was nothing. Then this morning, she's like, "All right, what do you think?" And I looked down there, bang, I'm on a Marth. We got 2 free tickets. We're going to be going there tomorrow. I had to pay $13 for the fee for 2 tickets
Nice.
total,
Nice.
and they were like
Very cool.
$75 tickets. So
Yeah.
I think we have to pay for parking or whatever. But and I was staying in that space, right? I was like, I'm gonna scroll and it's gonna be there, and it freaking was. Because a lot of times they
Nice.
won't put them up till last minute. I've noticed there, but sometimes they'll put them in advance. So I was
Yeah.
kind of worried, but then I said to myself, you know what, it's gonna be there, and it was. I mean, we were gonna buy tickets anyway, but now we just saved $150.
That's awesome. I found what I said. I had whatever
Oh yeah, yeah.
from Instagram. I'm gonna read it because it was very profound. And thanks to Woodshop the Wise for sending it. I believe that was him who shared it with me. If not, it was you, Brandon, one of you guys. It says, wanting positive experience is a negative experience. Accepting negative experience is a positive experience. It's what the philosopher Ellen Watts used to refer as the quote backwards law. The idea that the more you pursue feeling better all the time, the less satisfied you become as pursuing something only reinforces the fact that you lack it in the first place. The more you desperately want to be rich, the more poor and unworthy you feel, regardless of how much money you actually make. The more you desperately want to be sexy and desired, the uglier you come to see yourself, regardless of your actual physical appearance. The more you desperately want to be happy and loved, the lonelier and more afraid you become, regardless of those who surround you. The more you want to be spiritually enlightened, the more self centered and shallow you become in trying to get there. God, that was
It
so good.
it reminds you of the Briar Rabbit. You ever heard that? Remember that story, Briar
Oh,
Rabbit?
Brer Rabbit.
Briar Rabbit. Yeah, he's like, no, don't throw me into the briars. Don't throw me there. It's like a that's where he wants to go because he knows if he throws him in there, he can get away, right? But he acts like he doesn't, and it's this is really the essence of self work, right? You instead of waking up every day saying, how can this be the best day? I want to have maximum experience with my sense pleasures. I want to wake up and have great food to eat. I want to have like sex with a beautiful woman. I want to have do the best drugs. I want to drive the best car. I want to, whatever it is, it's more about, all right, you take what comes, and when it's the bad stuff, you're like, oh, wait a minute, a tree fell in my house. How can I get something good out of this? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You have that automatically
Silver
default
lining.
silver
Mm-hmm.
lining. And then those things, I feel like they stop happening to you, those kind of things, because I feel like anytime some kind of quote unquote negative experience happens to you, something that you're supposed to learn. And now
Mm-hmm.
if your first instinct is to say, what can I learn from this? And you're excited about it, then these good things are going to probably start happening to you, right? It's like you
Yeah.
attract it in a way because you're not worried about it, right? You're not worried about something bad happening, because when you're worried about something bad happening, most times it happens.
Yeah. And like Trish was saying in the chat earlier about like having no expectations. It's like it's not a bad thing to have no expectations in the sense that you just say I'll take whatever God gives me because I'm grateful because I'm here living this experience and I God hasn't failed me yet. I'm still here and I'm doing great and I'm looking for silver linings everywhere, you know?
Yeah, we could probably cover that in an episode further too. I mean, it's good that we're talking about it today too, but that's a really mind-blowing thing. Yep, exactly. All right. Thank you for reading that, by the way. That was great.
Oh, thanks.
I totally forgot. See, again, I'm just
Did you see that? You saw it
yeah.
too?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I
I
think
thought so.
Nick did send it to us, which Nick, yeah.
Okay.
Or you, and yeah, it was from him though, originally. And there it is, lacking. All right. You can come up and read up here. You
All
want to
right,
do
precepts.
that?
Which is nearer, a name or a person? Which is more, personality or treasure? Is it more painful to gain or to suffer loss? Extreme indulgence certainly greatly wastes. Much hoarding certainly invites severe loss. A contented person is not despised. One who knows when to stop is not endangered. He will be able, therefore, to continue. So that first line, which is nearer a name or a person, that's interesting.
Yeah. Is a person their name, right? It's like that,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's going back to labels, right? Like we label
Yes.
things. And you were like, there's a
Yes.
dog running around outside my window and two yards over. But is that really a dog? That's just what we call it, Like
Right. Right. And like nothing wrong with, I was having this conversation with Cody yesterday too about like identifying things. Like there's nothing wrong with like things having an identity and identifying those things. But like you said, that's just what we call it. I mean, in this 3D realm that is a total illusion, there's more to it than just the physical,
the
you know?
illusions.
Yeah. But yeah, where was I? Which is near a name or a person? Eh, Yeah, I that's very poetic.
Yeah, it's funny because I have always like notoriously been bad with names and remembering names. And getting much better at it now. I have different
Ways.
ways, yeah, and of figuring it out. But even when I do know someone's name, like if I'm not very familiar with them, when I'm calling them their name, it doesn't always feel right to me. It feels like I'm getting their name wrong, even when I say their name. And I wonder if it's this concept because I'm kind of just like, I'm not really seeing them as their name, you know.
Mhm. Okay.
Ooh, over here. I guess I just innately have an issue with names, or maybe that's just or with labels, I mean, or maybe that's just my excuse because I'm bad at memorizing or remembering names.
Yeah.
But either way, it's
Interesting.
weird though. I get like this feeling like when I'm saying their name wrong and they're about to be like, oh, that's not my name. Like I don't know.
I have this funny thing where, and I used to do this a lot more when I had a, 9 to 5, but I will nickname people, certain people. I don't do it to everybody, but like I'll end up nicknaming people. But sometimes if their name is a one syllable name already, I have to change it. It's got to be a 2 syllable or three. It's going to change. It's not going to be one. But if it's a two or three or something, I got to break it. I got to make it one, like 1 syllable or two. So like I've done that before. Like there was a guy at work. His name was Bill. He was just Bill, and I'm like, Bilbo Baggins. You're Bilbo Baggins. Like he was Bilbo Baggins because like I wasn't just going to call him Bill. That's too boring. But like in the chat, Trisha's name used to be Trisha in the chat. And then I would just be like, hey, Trish. So she changed it to Trish. And then the other day I was just like calling her Trisha again. It's I just can't call you the name that you have there for some reason.
I love it. Yeah, I always make up nicknames for people too. I think it's funny,
Yeah.
especially when they stick.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's fun.
And like you call me B a lot. B.
Yeah, exactly. Because like typing
Brando.
your name all out, so I just call you B. And everybody now calls you B because I called you B.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
E. You're
B.
B and E because I'm not going to spell your name and her and Elizabeth's name all like it's
Yeah,
too long. So
we
you're
just
B and
B.
E.
We just B.
You just B. And I actually thought of that too. You're like BE. You're just B.
And if you put the E first, we ebb. We ebb and flow.
Yes. Yeah.
Like that. It was just meant to be, I guess.
Looking in the chat, Maya Cherie says, Maya Cherie sounds like machete. Really? Machete.
Oh,
Oh,
machete.
machete. Machete. Machete.
Oh yeah, my cherie,
Yes.
machete,
I was
machete,
saying it in Spanish. That's why it didn't sound like it to me. I'm on machete.
machete, and how do you say the last name? Annalani,
And Alani?
Annalani. Oh yeah, Lonnie. That would make more sense. She's in Hawaii, right?
I don't know,
Hawaii. I think
but she'll tell us maybe.
she's in all the chats. I see her. She's a great mod, so I think I've seen her say that.
Trish says my own name doesn't feel like me. I used to feel
Hawaiian,
like
yeah,
that when I was young. Like I was like, why is my name Sharon? This is like weird.
yeah.
It was very weird to me. I don't know why.
I had that
But,
too. Ooh, Brandon, like what is this?
what does this
And my name at
mean?
the time was kind of obscure. There wasn't a lot of Brandons running around in like
Mm.
late 70s, early 80s. So
Yeah, I
some
was like
Brandon,
not there weren't that many Sharons either where I was at least.
Sharon,
It wasn't like a common name, but yeah, back to
a lot of Mikes and Matts and Marks.
oh yes, like always tons of those. Especially out in the East Coast. You guys freaking Cody has like at least 3 Matt friends. So I always have to be like, which Matt? Oh, Matt
That
called me or
Bible,
Matt texted me, and I'm like, which Matt?
Matt 3.
Oh, they have different,
Yeah,
last
yeah.
names. So it's like C or H or D.
Maddie, Matt D.
Yeah. But yeah, there's other names. It's not just Matt. There's other ones that are like duplicates as well. Yeah, the name Michael needs to be retired.
Sorry, Mike. No, I'm just saying that. I don't wasn't referring to anyone specifically. All right. Yeah, names are funny. A lot of biblical names around here. A lot of the gospel names anyway. Not a lot of Lukes though. That's the funny thing, right? You get a couple Lukes, but maybe Star Wars ruined it. I don't know.
Well, MS is in the chat and he's laughing because his name almost looks like Michael, but it's not pronounced like that because I guess it's the Polish version, so it's pronounced
Ah,
Michał, which makes me think of actually I may have said this before, but what is that other romance language?
French,
Uh huh?
French,
No, no, no.
Spanish,
It's Dracula, Count Dracula.
Romanian.
Yes. Thank you. It's romance, Romanian. Oh my God. I couldn't think of it. Yes, thank you. MS says Romanian. Yeah, I think they also say, well, they have one that's called Mihai, actually. It's pronounced Mihai. So it might be similar. But yeah, with all this whole language talk, makes me think of that video that I was talking about earlier. And like maybe
Be
all
high
these
right now.
languages.
Sorry, that was a long way to go. I don't even know if there's anything in there. It was worth it. Be high. Sorry, I'm silly. I just get where we I derailed everything.
That's fine. Where were we?
You were talking about it makes you think of something. The be high and the
I was just mentioning that the video that I watched, I haven't finished, but yeah, by Mind Unveiled about all these languages, which are quickly appearing to be um, made up, fabricated. But yeah,
I mean,
who knows?
wouldn't be surprised, right? Like I wouldn't be surprised if like they something happened and we got like the true history and it was like there was nothing here before like 1600s and 17 forward. We just made it all up. It was like a totally different like civilization, and we just have all these stories for you.
Hmm.
Uh, but who knows?
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, we went way, way, way off topic.
No worries.
Yeah. So that first one's that was interesting. All right, which is more personality or treasure? And that's similar to the Stephen Mitchell one,
Yep.
but one says personality and Stephen Mitchell says happiness, and then treasures equivalent to money. So yeah, you weigh it out. What's more important to you?
Yeah. What's more important, to have a nice personality or to have a bunch of treasure? You know.
Yeah, that also reminds me when I was going to that culty church. That's another benefit that I really appreciated is that at least in the church I went to, they were like, don't marry someone just for looks, or don't just like be looking for somebody with just looks. Like, get to know the person, like, get to know their character. And what is character? It's personality. So like that always stuck with me. And it definitely uh, kept that in mind for a better part of my life, except for when I rushed into something too soon and then ended up staying with someone for a very long time. And that was also part of the plan too. So it's all fine and
Because
good.
you learned, right? And you
Yeah.
learned about narcissists, and that's what got you into a lot of these topics. Yeah, because you lived.
Hmm.
Amazing. Man, and Blue Kachin in the chat says way woo off topic or
Oh,
woo way
no,
off topic.
woo, way off
Yeah,
topic.
woo way. Yeah, thanks, Sharon. That's what I got excited. Uh,
Oh,
and I like that too. Is it more painful to gain or suffer loss? Right. Same thing. I
yeah.
think with the success or failure.
Yes. Yes. And well, I think I mean, you learn both ways, right? That's the point too, is it's not about one being better than the other necessarily, but they're both for your growth.
And sometimes when you gain a bunch of stuff, now you have more stuff to worry about, right?
Yes.
Like Norm Macdonald had this great joke. I think it was Norm back in the day, and he's like, "People tell me I should get a pit bull because they'll if I get a pit bull, it'll protect all my expensive stuff." And he's like, "But if I get a pit bull, it'll be the most expensive thing I own." He's like, What do I get to guard that? A wolf? Like, I miss Norm.
Good for Norm, bless his heart.
Yeah.
Like they say in Spanish, que en paz descanse. May
Yeah.
he
I think
rest in peace.
exactly. And I'm pretty sure that was Norm. Correct me if anyone knows if I was wrong out there. But yeah. All right.
Yeah, and the next
Uh,
one,
yeah.
next
So
line.
I'll bring it up.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I was just gonna
That's
say
okay.
that that's what I meant by you gain things and now you're worried. So it could be more suffering, right? You're worried about all
Oh
this.
yeah. No, for sure that's true. Uh things. I'm kind of like I don't want more
Last
things.
last thing I'll say too to anyone who's ever owned a boat, you'll know this. Like if you gain a boat, you're all happy, but then you have like nothing but issues because boat stands for like bust out another thousand. Or what's
Dude,
the other one? A boat is a hole in the water where you throw money because you're always like constantly fixing it and repairing it, right?
dude,
I mean, I
that's
do love
insane.
boats,
Like,
but
yeah, but I like have a friend with a
yeah,
boat.
friends. That's what I do. I have friends with boats and I just pay for gas for them or buy them dinner when we're out or whatever. Jet ski was better to have. Then you could be out there or a paddleboard. Then you can meet them out there. All right. Bust out another
Yeah.
1,000. Now it's probably like
Um,
1,000. Go ahead, man.
yeah. I was just gonna quickly read Mihaw's chat. He said,
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
it's good to practice losing things like I had to when we moved so much as a kid. I had to basically start over a few times. Yes. Yes. Losing something is definitely a lesson learned, you know. You you learn to not be attached to things.
Yeah, I'm about to buy my third flashlight, that cool flashlight that I have that's like long and whatever. I'm
You
already
lose them.
I can't find the second one already that I had. Yeah, the first one is gone with the wind. The second one might be around somewhere, but and I even Elizabeth bought one because she liked them so much, and now I use hers once in a while. She's like, "You gotta get your own again." She's like,
You're just like, don't lose mine.
"Yeah, yeah, that too." So, but my view of losing things is because I do that, or I don't do it as much anymore, but I'll leave things or whatever. It's kind of like, you know what? I'm just giving things to other people. Like it's just a gift for them, and it's hard to get tied up. Or when you break things, when things,
Mm-hmm.
like I had this really cool bong, and I knew one day it was probably going to break, and it finally did. And I'm just like, oh,
Because you knew it was gonna break. I
yeah,
bet.
that could be it too.
Yeah. When
I
people
mean,
are
you
like,
made
I
better.
just knew this was gonna happen.
Yeah,
I'm like, well, you did it to yourself.
you're right. Yeah, I did, and I did do it to myself too. I knocked it off my thing. Um, but yeah, right. And it's about if you're not worried about breaking it, then you probably won't break it, right?
Yeah. It's
Uh,
kind of like being on a cliff. You're more likely to be worried about falling off the ledge because you know you're on a cliff. But you know, if you're just standing somewhere and there's, you know, you're not worried
or like if
because
you're hiking at night, right, and you can't
mm-hmm,
see the fall, you're just staying on the trail.
mm-hmm.
You can't see, and then during the day, you're like, oh shit, there's a fucking gully down there or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, that's what that makes me think of. But we'll move on so we can get through. Extreme indulgence certainly greatly wastes. Well, you know what that makes me think of is um well, let's see, much hoarding certainly invites severe loss. Those two things together.
Yeah.
It makes me think of like when, you know, the the thing, you know, the thing that happened in 2020
Yeah.
when it was like
Ryan
everybody
dying in a
go to the
helicopter.
store and buy 2 months worth of everything,
The
and
Kobe Bryant helicopter crash. Is that what you're talking about?
that too.
Everyone forgot about that, right? Poor Kobe.
Yeah, right. And they hid it right there inside
Yeah.
of all that. But yeah, so then it's like then you're sitting on all this inventory of food and whatever, and then you know you look on the package and it's like expired 2 months, and you're like, I didn't need to buy all this like so early. Like I didn't need to do that. it's wasteful in some ways, right? Because it says it greatly wastes. It's a severe loss. Um, so that's what it makes me think of.
And you can even, yeah, no, that's a great example. And you can even look at indulgence and just sense pleasure. You could be like extreme indulgence in sense pleasure certainly greatly wastes. And it's like if you always have to have the best thing or this and that, and you always have to have the best experiences, and if you don't, your whole day's ruined. Going along like that, you're gonna have a lot of waste, right? Because you're not going to be thankful for the things you have because you're looking for new things to be thankful for, or to fill that hole that you were talking about earlier to try to make yourself happy.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty.
So a contented person is not despised. I guess you can't be angry with somebody who's always in a, grateful mood. Like someone who's always in the moment and grateful. Like you can't really say anything negative about that.
Yeah. Or even the fact to use the word despised. Maybe sometimes you might get annoyed at them or mad with them, but you're never going to truly despise them, like.
Yeah, you might be jealous. And then one who knows when to stop is not endangered. He will be able, therefore, to continue. So when you know how to stop, it's like it's a lesson in control, self-control. So it's like practicing, fasting or intermittent fasting, which yeah, I've been doing for a little bit. I'm not doing crazy fasting right now, but I'm just practicing this intermittent type of fasting. And yeah, I have to have some self-control, know when to stop. And so, if somebody's like, "Hey," let's say like I what I call closed my window of eating or whatever. And then, Cody or, wherever, let's say I could be wherever. And they're like, "Oh, hey, have a piece of this or have some of this." I'll, like, it's okay. I just ended my window of eating or whatever. I can have some tomorrow at some point, but I'm good. Thank you. It's self-control. Um and
Self
that
control.
is not endangering me to have self-control, you know?
Nope, because you could stop and start when you want. Think about driving a car. What if you didn't know how to stop? That's probably the
Yeah.
most important thing in a car is
Yeah.
to know how to stop, right?
He will be able therefore to continue.
That's
And
right.
yeah.
Look at it if you're spiraling too, right? If you're spiraling about something negative that's happening, if you're
Hmm.
not able to stop yourself in that moment, who knows? Or if you get angry, who knows
Oh
what you
yeah.
go do and break or say? Who knows what you might say if you're not able to stop yourself?
Yeah, exactly.
You might say
And
something that,
yeah, that really hurts somebody or really upsets somebody. Yeah. And I mean, I've been there. I've, you know, been there where I get triggered about something and I raise my voice and I get angry and I don't know how to stop. And that's when I recognize that, wow, I need to do something about this. I need to gain control of myself. If something is about to trigger me or I see the sign coming that I'm about to be triggered, slow down, calm down. Um, it's not life threatening. And
you
even if
got,
it were, I'm just going to go back to source.
yeah, yeah, exactly. You got to weigh the Wu Wei clan. All right, exactly, exactly. All right, I'm gonna read this. It's funny how the shortest one is Stan Rosenthal because we see mostly he's very
I
wordy,
I was going to say,
but he says it so simply here. It really, I think it's the clearest one too. A contented man knows himself to be more precious even than fame. So there's really nothing to break down there, right? Because we've
no,
talked about
yeah.
the fame verses. So, um, uh, more precious than fame, and so obscure remains. So he remains obscure because he
Hmm.
realizes that he's content. It's good enough. He who
Mm-hmm.
is more attached to wealth than to himself suffers more heavily from loss. I like
Mm,
this because it makes so much more sense and it's so easy and clear, right? If you're more attached to what your wealth, so he's not saying it's good to have wealth or bad. No, no. Are you
it's
attached to it?
attachment. Yes.
And you're going to suffer more if you lose it. Um, he who knows when to stop might lose, but in safety stays. So
Hmm.
you might lose everyone else. It might look like you
The
lost.
race or whatever.
Yeah, but at that finish line, you could have got hit by a bus, right? Like, what? This is probably terrible. It's like the Boston bombing. Didn't it go off at the finish line? Like, what if you're way in the back? You weren't even affected by it. It's, I guess that was a terrible example. And the other thing I wanted to say too that I like about it's so simple. Uh, it was about the heavily suffering heavily from loss. I lost it. It'll come back though.
Well, I'll just say like he who knows when to stop might lose. Okay, so if I relate this to like feeding, to like eating, like when I know uh when I stop, when I know when to stop, yeah, I might lose. I might lose calories that I don't have to eat
Yeah, there you
and
go.
gain.
Right. You might lose the contentness of some people that are around you that are like, come on, eat more. You look skinny. You got to eat, right? If you're
Hmm.
hanging out with a bunch of Italian grandmothers, you might lose their respect. But no, it's great. And that's, I mean, there's really not much to say more. And it's all
Yeah.
sufficiency. That's great. It's right. Like, what is sufficient? It's perfect.
Yeah.
I'll let you read the
And finally, Aleister Crowley, verse 44. He calls this monitorial. And maybe you can look this up while I'm
yeah.
reading. I'll just compare it to what Stan Rosenthal calls sufficiency, Dwight Goddard calls precepts. Hmm. All right. So, what shall it profit a man if he gain fame or wealth and lose his life? That was, I think Jesus said that, you guys, in the Bible. If a man cling to fame or wealth, and that's attachments, right? When you cling to something, he risketh what is worth more. Be content, not fearing disgrace. Act not and risk not criticism. Thus live thou long without alarm. And he did some alliteration there at the end, as I noted previously. So if a man cling to fame or wealth, that means he's attached. He risks what is worth more. And what's worth more than fame or wealth?
Happiness, contentment,
And yeah,
right? Sufficiency.
gratefulness.
I looked
Right.
up monitorial and it says of or relating to a monitor.
That's what I
Mon-
thought. Like a
yeah,
monitor lizard?
monit monitory is another one. So I looked up monitory. Monitory is serving to admonish or warn, admonitory, giving monition. And what is monition? Oops, no, I don't want
Hmm.
to. Gotta get some kind of. All right, so monition. Monition, a warning of impending danger. Yeah, so it's about
Oh, it's about warning you.
yeah,
Nice.
because if we go to monitory again, it'll make more sense because it's of or relating to a monitor, somebody who warns.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Serving to admonish or warn. Admonitory. Okay. Like admonition.
Yeah, yep.
Okay. Giving monition. Okay. That's admonition. Got it. Yeah. So he is not quite admonishing us, but he's kind of warning us that if you cling to fame or wealth, you risk what is worth more. So be content, be grateful, not fearing disgrace. And that's up there in Dwight Goddard. He says, not despised, right?
Yep.
So you won't be despised, you won't be disgraced I mean, even if you maybe if someone despises you, but like you won't truly be disgraced. So act not. And I think that's more like don't react, right?
Yep.
And risk not criticism. It makes me think of when people are in comments and people's YouTube comments and they react to a person's whatever's, somebody's trying to egg them on or trying to get them to respond. Don't react, and yeah, you're not going to be fun. You're not going to be fun to play with. Yeah, because I'm not a plaything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so, and who ends up looking like the fool? Not me. And even if some people might think I'm the fool, they're probably the ones who are more contentious, you know,
And not content.
and not content. There you go. Because they're always looking for a fight. Mm. Act not and risk not
And
criticism. Thus, live thou long without alarm. So it brings longevity, people, and you don't have to be alarmed. Haha. Blue
no.
Kachina says, "Tell him, Sharon." I'm like, sick him, sick him.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, we
Yeah,
made it through two more verses of the
we
Tao
did.
Te Ching. Thank you guys so much for hanging out.
Yes.
MS says true personality in a present person really is the present, their presence.
Oh, that's
Most
a good one.
Michaels I knew sold weed. Oh, that's great. I think it's good to practice, MS says. I think it's good to practice loathing things like I had to when we moved. Oh, you read
I
that. Oh,
read
yeah.
that one. Yeah.
Oh, losing. I said loathing.
What did you say?
Loathing.
Oh, yeah. I was like, why did he say
I don't know
that?
why that's weird.
Fear and loathing.
Fear and losing in Las Vegas. That'd be a better title anyway, losing. I,
Hmm.
I was actually going to say that when they talked about not worrying about losing things or whatever. Or sorry, that's what I was going to say about the attachment. If you're attached to your wealth, you'll suffer more. And it reminds me of poker. Because if you're a good poker player, in the long run, the odds are in your favor, but sometimes you win, you'll lose either a tournament or like a hand, you could lose a lot of money. But it's about the long term if you're like a serious poker player who wants to make a living out of it or something. So if you have
The
a bad
long game.
day, what's that?
The long game.
The long game. So if you
The
have a
hare
bad,
and the tortoise.
you're in the tortoise. Exactly. So if you have one bad day or a bad week or whatever, or a bad hand, and you lose money or whatever it is, you can't let that bother you or affect you. You just let it roll off because it's part of the game of poker. Like, right, you're going to win, you're going to lose, but overall, you want to win. So if your track record overall, like over the year, say you won a bunch of money, but like 1 month you lost more money, but overall in the year you're still up, then that's what you have to focus on, right? Because you
Mm-hmm.
that could affect your attitude and you could play worse and lose more money. Not that I've ever done that, but yeah,
Indeed.
exactly. Lushing. Dissonant Jones.
Looshing money.
Yeah, exactly. I lost my mind
Ah.
because I was loathing it.
Mhm. Tony wants to play
Oh, fear
poker.
and lushing. Oh yeah, instead of fear and loathing.
Oh,
Play poker with y'all. Yeah, let me know if you got any good games going. I haven't played. I was actually talking about it yesterday. I haven't played in a while, so definitely want to get up and play a tournament one of these days.
yeah, Tony, if you're ever up in Connecticut or if you're up in New Jersey and AC, Atlantic City.
Yeah, I'll meet you at Harrah's or the Borgata. We'll go play a tournament. Borgata. But I feel like we're repeating ourselves a lot with this, but it's good because it's one of those things. It's like a mantra that you repeat over and over again. And I feel like there are these ideas or tenets,
Tenants.
no. Anyway, structure to the Tao where it just keeps repeating things You get it from different angles, but it really starts to sink in. And the fact that we're using 4 and today we're on verse 44, it's really crazy. But I mean, I'm getting a lot out of this, so I love it. It's
Yeah.
great to just
Well,
talk about it now.
that reminds me of what I was listening to earlier in Love, Service, and Devotion lectures by Ram Dass. When he was talking about the mantra, he was saying I can't remember the example, but there was a certain session and there was like a guru or something talking about mantra. And he was saying, like, you repeat this mantra over and over and over and over and over again. And one of the guys gets up and is like, why do you do that? That's so boring. Like, what are you going to learn from repeating something over and over again? And the guru stands up and tells him to shut up. He calls him an ass or something.
Yeah, you
The
ask,
guy's
be
like,
quiet or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's like, how dare you call yourself a, enlightened guru who blah, 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 blah. And he's like, well, what have I done? And he's like, how dare you ask me what you've done? You know what you've done. And he's like, well, see, I told you one thing one time and it got you all riled up. He's like, so why do you ask me if repeating something good over and over, what it's going to do for me? If
Such a
that
great
thing,
point.
yeah, right?
I said it one time and you got all pissed off and you lose your whole center and yeah. So just think about what a good word said over and over and over again would mean to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Indeed.
right. I'll see you. Maybe I'll see you in AC, Tony. Let me know when you're coming down. Especially if it's during the week. I could finagle during the week, especially in September. Weekends are rough.
Nice.
A lot of weddings in September.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, I guess we could wrap this up here. We plan on doing some more. Obviously, we're going to do more Tao episodes, but we do plan on diving into the Law of One. So if there's anything that you want to know about the Law of One specifically or hear us talk about, let us know in the comments below. And yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. Commercial?
Commercial. Make sure you go to morelawsmoreproblems.com. Check out the website that I've had now for over 10 years. It's 11 years old now, that website. The Oversharing
It's
tab,
tenured.
tenured. The Oversharing tab is only been there for a couple of years, so it's a little newer, but check it out. You could support us. There are several ways to support us financially, or the best way to support us is just hang out here Thursdays in our chat, send the hearts like someone's sending right now. Hang out, participate, thumbs up, share it around, subscribe. Our subscriber count keeps going down. It's so funny. I love it though. That's part of this
It's
verse, right? Is
it's
not,
hilarious.
yeah, we're at 820. It's kind of like
I
YouTube.
know. It's like they're hearing us and they're like, oh, we're just going to lower it a little bit more now. Because I was like, for a while, it was staying steady at like 827. And then it was like the other day I looked at it, it was like 820. I'm like, oh, really? Okay. That doesn't really make a lot of sense, but okay.
The funny thing is, other than that, our numbers look good for like the episodes and stuff. I just
Yeah.
kind of,
Like the people who show up in the chat.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Maybe
it's,
YouTube just wants us to monetize it or something. I don't know. But
yeah.
I saw Randall Carlson, who is a. Have you ever heard of like Graham Hancock? He's one that
Yeah.
talks about ancient alien kind of stuff, but not exactly fingerprints of the gods. He wrote that. Well, Randall Carlson is a geologist, I believe, who was on the Joe Rogan Experience a couple times. But he just started his own thing, and he was talking about squaring the circle, which is like a more sacred geometry thing. And he's starting this whole thing with sacred geometry. So I saw the video, it just popped up, and he had like 340 subscribers. And like a couple hours later, I looked, he had like 2,500 subscribers. I was like, yo, because he's like a well-known person. But it looks pretty interesting. I mean, I don't agree with a lot of his work as far as what he thinks the realm is and stuff, but this is all about like sacred geometry, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I never really understood much about sacred geometry. That's a rabbit hole I have on my list to one day check out. Probably like dip my toes in to the
Yeah.
rabbit hole because I don't know that I'm a big diver. I usually don't dive into like absolute granular detail, but I like to get my feet wet sometimes.
I hear you. It's really just like self-knowledge kind of stuff. I think at the end of the day, it talks about squaring the circle, which is supposed to be something that's like impossible. It's like an impossible feat to square a circle in the physical realm, but it's more about aiming for perfection, like doing your dharma kind of thing. You know, you aim to square the circle. It was pretty interesting. Um, so
Hmm.
yeah, but you know, check out our show, everybody. Don't worry about whatever, you know. It's all about oversharing. So yeah, that's our commercial. What are you worried about? Just get fake doors, everybody. Rick and Morty. What are you worried about? Just watch oversharing. Like I don't know. Yeah, to worry about.
Oh my gosh.
People are calling him Narcase.
Oh crap.
That's funny.
Oh
Who? Yeah, that's the thing, right? The drama, Sherry. That's what
yeah.
we're talking about more in the beginning of the episode, and
Yeah. We
all
try
these
not to
content.
participate in those
Yeah, like
things.
all the content creators that don't like each other, I'll still watch them and get stuff out of their things. You know,
Yeah.
don't need to get on sides. I'm on my side. You know, like
Yeah.
I'm a capybara, so it's rough for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Capybara Club.
That's right. I also don't know
Speaking
how to
of,
react when somebody's like has negative, like doesn't like me or has a negative thing to say about things. I'm just like, oh, I'm not used to this.
yeah, like bye.
I'll be here.
Yeah. Capybara. Somebody posted in a Facebook group in my neighborhood that they found it. I don't know if it was true or not. It could have gone either the way of it being a joke because it was their own pet, or it could have been like, no, they really found this capybara. But I guess they had a picture of their son with the capybara next to the pool, and they're like, "We found this stray. Can somebody help us find the owner or something like that?" And I'm like, "Is this a joke? Is this for real?" But it was so cute. The capybara was just like chilling. He was just like sitting there, like so cute. And the little kid was like feeding him something. I don't know, like a celery stick, or I can't tell what it was. But it was so cute.
It's funny. I found this dog. Maybe I should get
I
a
didn't know
capybara.
people had them as pets. Like I did not around here. I did not know this.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I mean, it'd be like a giant hamster, right? Probably.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
So
I think we've. Oh, it starts here. Okay, so there's a link to the. All right, I'll maybe I'll check that out and see what's going on. Yeah, you know, I don't know. Last thing we'll say, I think with this whole world of YouTube and content creators, we came across this guy just this week, and it was really funny because he had a video, and in the video, you know, he does these short 10, 15-minute videos. He doesn't show his face or whatever. I forget his name or whatever. We don't have to.
I
But
don't even know his name.
he was saying we liked him because he was talking about tarot and also like Myers-Briggs and stuff. So Sharon sent me a video, but in the video he was like, "Don't worship the content creators that you follow." He's like, "Don't do it." It was so funny. He's like, "That's the one thing you don't want to do is worship the content creators you follow." Because a lot of these people know about psychology, and guess what? They realize that this conflict gets eyes on them,
Creates, yes.
and maybe they're not
Loosh.
loosh, and maybe they're not doing it consciously, maybe even subconsciously they realize it. You know, look at the
Mm-hmm.
Biggie and Tupac thing, right? Like the whole East Coast, West Coast, you know, like if people didn't react and, you know, to all this stuff, then they probably wouldn't do it, you know, but whatever. I mean, you know, sometimes you got to defend people and stick up. I get it.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah.
It's like you said earlier, like it's kind of too bad that they uninvited him. It I get it, but at the same time, it's like it also looks weird because they invited him in the first place. It's like taking your word back. Like I'm not a big take your word back person. Like unless I absolutely have to, and it's like, like if I have a meeting set with somebody, like you guys, one time Joe and I had a meeting, we were going to record, and it was like totally last minute. I hated doing it. I'm just like, I can't do this right now. Fortunately, you guys are both introverts, so you're like, I don't care. Like this is
Yeah.
great.
Secretly, we love when plans cancel. We're like,
And I'm a secret introvert, even though I'm an ENTJ allegedly. But there's videos about why ENTJs are more introverted. Anyway, yeah. Um, I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, I don't like to break my word. So like I just think it looks kind of weird. And especially because he was promoting it and telling people about it, and I'm sure people had signed up and all that. It just kind of looks weird.
Well,
But
like, what didn't you know
whatever.
about him before you invited him? You know what I
Like
mean?
it's like, yeah, did you already know this kind of thing? Like you should have probably already known. And so like although when I did hear he got arrested, I was like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen if he gets out in time before that. Cause I don't know. I didn't even know why he got arrested. You know, it's like,
I don't even think he said it. Some people were saying it, but he said he's going to wait till everything's over to talk about it. From what I saw,
okay.
but I saw he was going to Florida, so if he got whatever he got arrested for, it can't be that bad if he's like able to go to Florida still, you know. So, and I don't think he'd be talking about it on YouTube if he wasn't supposed to go.
Yeah.
But
So,
well, there might have been one other
we're
thing
not them.
I can't
They're
remember.
not us. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. It's
God bless
interesting
them
too
and
because
their own lives and their walks in life. Go ahead.
in that video where talked about getting arrested and stuff, like he didn't say why, but he did talk about the whole experience. I think it was that one toward the end. He did say that he had somebody that stepped up and came forward and said they're going to pay for all his legal fees and they're going to look into getting all the stuff he went through back in the 90s exonerated.
Reverse exonerated. Okay.
Yeah, because I guess there was a judge who let a cop killer go in Texas. They like on a Miranda violation, they didn't get there, whatever. And then when that person, so because of that was this huge controversy because the guy got out of jail and like immediately like assaulted a female police officer like in the parking lot or something. I don't know the story, but I guess he's saying that because of that the judge was being more lenient and he was supposed to just have a like like a 90-day sentence or something like that or whatever. But so I guess if that all comes out and it gets done, good for him because then he was really speaking the truth the whole time and everybody else kind of got it wrong. But again, I just wish well for him because I don't want to see anybody fucking go to jail and have to deal with
Yeah.
that
I
either.
mean, you know, God
See,
help him on his journey, whatever he's
and
meant to
if
encounter.
he's a scam artist, it'll come out sooner or later. That's what
Yeah.
people don't realize. People that are
Yeah.
scam artists, they're not that good. They'll fuck up. They forget when they lie about something or
The
and
truth will be revealed.
yeah.
If he's not telling the truth, then it'll come out.
If we all fix yourselves, the world will be perfect ourselves, he said. Yeah. 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 That's it. Like what is it about whoever that bothers you so much? Just don't listen to them or interact with them, or her.
Yeah,
But anyway,
exactly.
I feel like we're beating a dead horse. We've talked about that so
Yeah,
much. It's a
so
good
many
message.
times.
All right.
Uh,
Well, yeah, I think we better get going. It's 4:20 here, and I must have a
it's
meeting at
420
5. So
somewhere.
I got to get some music. Yeah, it's 4:20 somewhere, everybody. And what else? Me high. All right, everybody.
That's your new name in Romanian.
Yeah, me high. So what do we say to the good people, Sharon?
Oh, Stacy Sunshine says, light it up.
Yeah. What's up, Stacy?
Yeah,
Thanks for coming
welcome.
by.
She just
And
made it, it looks like.
thanks for everybody for hanging out in the chat. We didn't really give a shout out to the chat. Thank you guys so much. It's great. We had
Yeah,
uh
thank you guys.
like 15 people in here most of the time, or some 15 to 12. There's 10, 11 now, 12. It keeps
Yeah.
moving.
These
So
11s, 22s, 44s,
yes,
they're everywhere.
I love it.
So, yeah. What do we say? That if you're
Yes.
not, wait, that's the old one. That once you start over Sharon,
Then you totally stop being a Karen.
that's
And
right.
remember, like I said earlier in the episode, everybody, we're not trying to tell you how to live.
Just maybe how to live on a higher vibe, perhaps?
Could it be?
Could it
All right,
be?
everybody. Until next week, have a good one. Have a good weekend. Take care, and we'll see you
Ciao,
soon.
ciao.
Ciao.